Hello everyone, it's Jen from Old Tinkerer Studio. Welcome to the third tutorial of the 3D Game Assets series. In this tutorial, we will be modeling a low-poly apartment building asset. This tutorial series assumes that you know the basics of Blender modeling. If you're new to Blender, I would recommend viewing my Blender Basics course before beginning this series. So let's go ahead and change the renderer to cycles. Then go into orthographic view and front view and tab into edit mode. Scale the cube along the x-axis by 7. Scale it along the y-axis by 9 and along the z-axis by 6. Select the top face, and we're going to inset it by 0.3. Then we need to extrude the face down along the z-axis, negative 0.5. Now add a cube. Move it to the front of the building. Scale the cube along the y-axis by 0.1 and along the z-axis by 2. Then go ahead and move this door down along the z-axis until it's about a Blender unit up from the bottom of the building. And select your front and back faces. And then inset them by 0.2. Deselect everything and then go ahead and delete the back face. Select your front face. And we're going to extrude this along the y-axis by 0.1. Go ahead and add a UV sphere and change its segments to 16. Then move it to the front of the door. And then rotate it around the x-axis 90 degrees. Go ahead and scale what's going to be our door handle by 0.1. Then what we need to do is select these two inner rings of faces. Then after you have them selected, extrude them along the y-axis by 0.1. And select the entire door handle and place it on the door. Then make sure that you have your door handle and your door both selected, and then align them to the front of the building. Now add another cube and move it to the front of the building. Scale the cube along the x-axis by 2 and scale along the z-axis by 0.2, and then align it to the bottom of the building. Then go ahead and duplicate the bottom step, scale it along the y-axis by 0.7, and then align it to this bottom step and the building. Duplicate this step, scale along the y-axis by 0.5, and align it to the middle step and the bottom of the building. Then deselect the step and select the door and the door handle. And then go ahead and make sure that they're above this top step. Go ahead and add another cube. Move it to the front of the building. And scale along the x-axis by 0.05. And scale along the y-axis by 0.1. Then go ahead and move this cube to the bottom step and place it about a half a blender unit from the right. Then we want to duplicate this cube twice and move it to the middle and top step. Now select the top face of the cube on the very top step, duplicate it, scale along the x-axis by 2, and then extrude it along the z-axis by 0.05. Now go ahead and select the front face of this extrusion that we just made, and we're going to extrude it along the y-axis by -1.5. Then use your manipulator and move the handrail down onto the vertical cube on the bottom step. Then what we need to do is move these back edges of the middle and the bottom step up until they meet the handrail. Then go ahead and select the entire railing. Duplicate it and move it to the left side of the door. Go ahead and add another cube. Move it to the front of the building. Scale the cube along the y-axis by 0.1 and along the z-axis by 1.5. Then select the front face and the back face and inset them by 0.2. Then select the back face and delete it. Select your front face and extrude it along the y-axis by 0.1. Add another cube and move it to the front of the building. Scale the cube along the x-axis by 0.1. Scale it along the y-axis by 0.05. And scale it along the z-axis by 1.4. Then we need to move this vertical cube into our window frame. Then duplicate this vertical cube and rotate it around the y-axis 90 degrees. Then scale this horizontal cube along the x-axis by 0.6. Add another cube. Move it to the front of the building. Scale the cube along the x-axis by 1.3. Scale along the y-axis by 0.1. And scale along the z-axis by 0.1. Then go ahead and place this cube at the bottom of the door frame. Then go ahead and select all the parts of the window and align it to the top of the doorway against the front of the building. And then move it to the right of the door so it's about a blender unit from the right edge of the building. Duplicate the window and place it on the left side of the door. Then select both windows. Then duplicate them. And then move them up to the top of the building, about 2 blender units from the very top of the building. Go ahead and duplicate one of these windows and move it to the center of the top of the building. Then select all 3 of these windows at the top of the building. Go ahead and duplicate them and rotate them around the z-axis 180 degrees. And then move them to the back of the building. Then go ahead and duplicate these windows and move them to the bottom of the building. Select all 6 windows Duplicate them and rotate them around the Z-axis 90 degrees. And then move them to the left side of the building. And then center them along this wall. Duplicate these windows again. Rotate them around the Z-axis 180 degrees. And place them on the right side of the building. And make sure that they are also centered. Add a cube. Move it to the front of the building. Scale the cube along the x-axis by 0.5. Scale along the y-axis by 0.1. And along the z-axis by 0.2. Then go ahead and move the brick to the right side of the building until it is about 1/10 of a blender unit past the very edge of the building. Go ahead and duplicate this brick and rotate it around the z-axis 90 degrees. Then align it to the first brick. They should overlap by that 1/10 of a blender unit. And go ahead and align both bricks with the very bottom right hand corner of the building. Now go ahead and duplicate both of these bricks. And move them up along the z-axis to about 2/10 of a blender unit apart. Select the front facing brick and scale it along the x-axis by 0.6. Select the brick along the side of the building and scale along the y-axis by 0.6. Then go ahead and align the bricks. Then we need to duplicate both sets of bricks and keep duplicating them until we fill up the entire vertical side of the building. And once you have all of the bricks up along the side of the building, select the very top faces of these top bricks and align them with the top of the roof. Then once you have those aligned, go ahead and select all of the bricks. Then go ahead and duplicate these bricks. Then rotate the bricks around the z-axis -90 degrees and place them on the left side of the building. Then we need to select the bricks on the right side of the building again. Duplicate all of these bricks. Rotate them around the z-axis 180 degrees. And then place them on the back of the building. Now let's go ahead and open up our Materials tab. Add a new material, and we'll just call this light brick. Give it a light gray color. I'm going to use the hex code of ACACAC. Then assign the light brick material to the building base, the steps, and the window frames. Add a new material, and we're going to call this dark brick and give it a darker gray color. I'm going to use the hex code of 7E, 7E, 7E. Then we're going to assign the dark brick material to the corner bricks. Add a new material, call it metal, and give it a even darker gray color. I'm using the hex code of 3A, 3A, 3A. Then we're going to assign this material to the railing and the door handle. Add a new material, and we'll call this wood, and give it a brown color. I'm using the hex code of 9C4F26. We're going to assign this wood material to the door and the interior window frames. And add one last material, and we'll name this window. And give it a blue color. I'm using the hex code of 26BBDA. And then assign this to all the windows. And there you have your low poly apartment building. I hope you found this useful. If you have any questions or suggestions for tutorials, please leave a comment below, and don't forget to like and subscribe. Have a good day.